because first to market does not always mean you win. It just means you actually are going to have everybody coming after you much, much faster.
I guess we got to flip back a little bit to the OpenAI conversation because they had some interesting news trying to chase after Anthropic. They've been canceling other projects of theirs. One of the most notable one went extremely viral across the world. Sora 2, that app, the one where I guess you put your little avatar in there. It takes like 15, 20 seconds of video. It's got your voice down, everything like that. Like super good outputs, especially for how easy it was for consumers to pick up and use. OpenAI is discontinuing that AI video product. I think you'll still be able to access the models, but essentially they're continuing like the app and everything that is involved in that, at least for now, so they can focus their efforts on catching up to Anthropic. Basically, yeah. So as a result of that as well, they had a $1 billion partnership with Disney. I forget exactly what they were going to be doing, but it was involving the content creation and I believe the whole Disney Plus app was going to be like evolve around like you putting yourself into the cartoon.
Oh yeah, that's what I saw, is that you were going to be able to like take videos of yourself and your kids and be in the Disney movie essentially using the Sora models.
Yeah, which is huge. That's like super engaging.
That's cool.
And, I mean,
listen, I have two little kids.
kids.
My daughter would die over that. I mean, she would be over the moon if I could, make her show up, like a little avatar of herself show up in the movie. It makes sense. I understand why they were doing that.
Yeah, so they had that $1 billion partnership with Disney along with that app, but like that, all that got canceled and everything like that. So it's crazy, so they're shifting compute away from like that, which would be classified under consumer video, towards coding, tools, robotics, and more AGI aligned products. These things are fun when you get in like right at the beginning. Like think like OpenClaw. Like now it's like, okay, it's another tool of the stack. Like you just got to have it, right? But like at the beginning, if you catch it, it's like you really get into that viral moment and stuff. Sora was one of those things. That one I was actually earlier on than I was with OpenClaw. So like literally like I was one of the first people to be able to like share it with everybody. And it was like the birth of AI slop. I'm sorry guys, you ever watched any of my stupid videos, but I didn't care. People were like, I hate these AI videos. And I'm like, shut up. Go shake your fist at a cloud or whatever, So like it is crazy. Now, here's the thing. I recognized this is one of those critical thinking things here, because there's going to be so many new AI things that keep coming out, okay, that like you can't do them all. You're not going to have infinite money to test them all either, okay? Everyone has a little subscription behind it. And you have to be able to, have the thought process and the reasoning, critical thinking skills to be able to know where to spend your time and what is a good use of it. So Sora 2, I saw it. It was fun for a little bit. It's not something that I see as beneficial in the long run, because essentially once everybody got access to it, then not only was it not like cool anymore, but it also means that everybody can produce the same videos. So like immediately, like
it takes the uniqueness away.
Yeah. It took like my ability to like create gym videos with fat chicks falling on me just like went to zero, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those are the funniest, I swear.
Yeah. Oh, no, they were definitely very fad-like, and that's definitely one of the big things. Is like a lot of people have been saying like, oh, this whole AI thing, this is just a fad. It's not going to last. There's no real-world use cases, whatever. I mean, obviously, AI coding showed that wrong. I still think the AI avatars, like with HeyGen and stuff like that, like those are still pretty useful if you want to make regular talking head type of content. But I think it's good that OpenAI maybe is, going to start focusing a little bit more on their research side, because I think that's what most of this really is coming from, is Anthropic and Google, not so much Meta, but definitely Anthropic and Google have really put a lot of effort into their research departments, and they've really remained as a research company. And that's what OpenAI was to begin with. And they were just trying to prove if they could do what they thought they were trying to do, which is create, somewhat really intelligent, generally intelligent language AI. Once ChatGPT started seeing multi-billion dollar valuations, $100 billion valuations, some people say $1 trillion valuation. Like once they started seeing that they were one of the more valuable companies in the world, I think a lot of their priorities had to shift from the research and doing what the research called for to how do we make sure that the revenue we're generating from what we have is at least somewhat close to the valuations that we're being assigned. So if you're getting $1 trillion valuations and you're barely doing $20 billion a year in revenue, you obviously have this kind of constant hot breath breathing down your neck saying, why are you only at 1% of your valuation? How am I going to get my money back? Inflation is getting higher. My other investments are doing poor. OpenAI, I really need you to come through now because my money's been parked with you for, 5 years, right? Like you got to remember a lot of the investors that got in on it early are now looking at the next 3 years and saying, okay, there's a lot of competitors. There's Google, there's Anthropic, there's even Meta, Grok, and OpenAI, again, earliest to the scene. They were the first one to start generating revenue from this, first one to start getting crazy high valuations and stuff like that. And now their revenue just simply cannot grow at the pace of their valuation. So what that means is investors are getting nervous saying, okay, if the valuation starts to go down, that means I have to start selling my shares or I have to figure out a way to compensate for that. And I'm already facing market pressures from the war in Iran and, oil prices being higher and all this other stuff. So I'm already starting to get to this kind of financially constricting place. And then now if OpenAI doesn't start making these deals happen, it's going to be, it's going to be worse for me. So OpenAI has been focusing on making these deals, like with Microsoft coming in, doing a, crazy investment. They're doing this Disney deal that they did. They did a big deal with the New York Times. They did a big deal with all these other publications. Like they did a lot of enterprise deals. And at one point they were 50% of the enterprise market for AI. Now they're like 15% and Anthropic is more like 40%. And, consumer users are great, but nobody's going to pay more than $20 a month, especially if they're not a business owner. You're not going to be able to charge them on usage. You're stuck in your pricing model. And as more and more other providers come in, right? So simple supply and demand, supply is going to go up for really intelligent, really highly performing AI. So what happens when demand stays the same and supply goes up? Price comes down, right? It's just simple basics of economics. So that's the pressure that OpenAI is facing right now, is if pricing is going to be forced to come down, or if they can't lower their price, they end up on the lower demand side of the curve. So now that demand is going to go to other companies like Grok and Google and Anthropic that can give lower prices for higher performance. And they're going to start seeing a slowdown in the new number of signups. Their revenue is going to either flatline or go down, especially without these billion-dollar deals that they just had to cancel because of Sora 2. So they're slowly starting to see the signs and the writing on the wall of like, okay, we need to support this $1 trillion valuation or else we are going to have investor flight like crazy. Everybody's going to pull out. They're going to start selling shares. They're going to start doing everything they can to basically screw us over. We have to stay ahead. We need to go back to research. We need to go back to doing what we do, creating better new models that just completely dominate the market every few months and put them at a cost that people can afford. So OpenAI really is in this position right now where they were just the first to market. They were the only ones available at the time for investors. They were the only ones that you could really invest in and catch in on this hype train. Now they're facing the tail end of that because first to market does not always mean you win. It just means that you're the first one to get the money and you actually are going to have everybody coming after you much, much faster.
Hey, David Morello here, your host from SaaS with DaaS podcast. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and check out some of our other clips right here. And you can go ahead and see one of our other episodes or even clips from this same episode from SaaS with DaaS podcast. We'll see you on the next one.